Hello, everyone. Dana here from Mind Body Healthy Holistic Nutrition. I am a certified holistic nutrition consultant who beat chronic fatigue syndrome. I've been fatigue-free, like bone-crushing fatigue-free for almost 10 years now. It's coming up on the 10-year anniversary very fast. And I now have taken everything that I've discovered, tested out of myself, learned, whatever it is that I have accumulated and figured out and, solved the problem of. I have now created a program called the Energy and Hormonal Rebalance System. And this is a personalized holistic nutrition approach. If you're unfamiliar with holistic nutrition, what holistic nutrition is about, different from like dietitians or nutritionists, or fitness nutrition, is that we really dig into root cause. We ask why. We ask why that's happening. We don't just stop at the symptoms. We don't stop at, say, you have fatigue, you have Epstein-Barr virus, therefore we're just going to focus on immunity. We really dig into every little piece of the puzzle and figure out why you are fatigued and what underlying root cause is the problem. If you are battling chronic fatigue and you've tried a bunch of solutions and it's just not going well, then this tells me that you still haven't hit that root cause. And I'll give you a little secret here. The number one root cause of chronic fatigue syndrome, adrenal burnout, reactivated Epstein-Barr virus, post-viral fatigue, such as like long-haul COVID, it's nutrient deficiencies. It's gaps in the nutrition that your body needs to run optimally. Now, with holistic nutrition, like I said, we look at the whole body, not just parts of it, and address that, because everything is so interconnected. It's so important that you take a look at the entire body and that we don't just focus on one area, two areas, or what happens a lot with women is neglect of really important body parts, organs, tissues, cells, chemicals, the hormones. We cannot obviously overlook the hormones. And when we're working as women to overcome fatigue, we have to take our hormones into consideration because we also have natural energy cycles each month. We go through natural daily energy cycles, not to the extent of men per se, but we do have them because we're human. And what is going on in my body is not exactly the same as anybody else. So with holistic nutrition, I never give my clients the exact same protocol and just say, go for it, because that is not going to help you overcome your exhaustion. So just a few of the amazing experiences that both myself and my amazing clients have had working holistically on rebooting energy and ditching chronic fatigue are, first of all, this amazing resiliency. You can be exposed to a trigger of your exhaustion, whether that's stress or viral infections or toxins or anything. And because you've built up this nutrient reserve, you have this incredible resiliency and strength in your body to just not just push that off and deal with it in a calm, safe, joyful, happy, energized manner without it tipping you back into exhaustion. And this is what happens to so many women when they're following mainstream advice, mainstream medicine, mainstream nutrition, mainstream supplements, is that they kind of feel a little bit better, but there's something that'll trigger them and kick them right back in. And we're seeing an uptick now of Epstein-Barr reactivation because presumably something out there is weakening the immune system further. So yes, the immune system is really important. And when I say weakening the immune system, this isn't just the immune system. It's weakening the entire body. And what this is doing is the immune system is fighting off that reactivated Epstein-Barr virus that was caused by nutritional deficiencies in the first place. And then all of these other nutritional deficiencies are creating a weaker and weaker immune system. So we have to look at the whole body as a big picture. So how did I overcome chronic fatigue, and now how do I help my clients overcome chronic fatigue? There's three main parts to this. It's not just nutrition. Nutrition is super important, but it weighs in at about 35-40% of the equation. Nutrition is key. The nutrition that you are taking in must be aligned with your overall goal and the symptoms and the imbalances and the root cause of your symptoms. So we take a look at your whole body as one entity and evaluate your symptoms, look for the nutritional deficiencies that you're dealing with, look at how your hormones are responding, look at the health of your cells, because there's no lab test or saliva test or any test to tell you how well your cells are taking in or responding to your hormones or the nutrients that you're taking in as well. So we have to remember that when we're talking, we get so hung up on lab tests that they aren't the end all be all. They can give us a little bit of a nudge in kind of the right direction sometimes, but they don't tell us how your body's responding to a lot of the hormones and chemicals and things that you are exposed to. So that is where everything really matters, is at the cellular level. It's inside your cells where energy is made. 90% of your energy is made inside your cells, inside the mitochondria. Keep that in mind. That is the key to successfully overcoming chronic fatigue. Don't overlook those mitochondria. So nutrition, seriously important. It has to be aligned. It has to be personally adjusted to your specific needs and to your body. So this is where the healthy or clean eating concept doesn't help us, doesn't get us to that state of 100% or 90% chronic fatigue remission, where we go from like a 0 out of 10 of energy to like an 8, 9, even 10, almost all of the time. Because healthy does not mean you're getting the right nutrients into your body. There's a lot of healthy foods out there that are, I 100% agree, they would fall into the whole food or mostly whole food healthy side of the picture. But some people don't agree with them. I have 2 clients right now who do not respond well to watermelon. If we had not been working together and really like zeroed in on what was going on with each of their bodies, we would not have found that watermelon is triggering inflammation, which is keeping them stuck feeling exhausted. So we really have to make sure that the healthy diet that you're eating is actually healthy for you. This is key. This is where these fad diets do not help. Many of them, especially for women who have digestive issues, be very careful if you are following something like a low FODMAP diet or a SIBO diet or anything like that, because there are a lot of really important nutrients included in those diets that you need as a woman with chronic fatigue syndrome or Epstein-Barr or a burnout or hormonal imbalances that have been eliminated from that diet. Too often, I've had a number of clients come in as well off those diets that have just made everything worse. So we really have to be careful that you are getting that root cause focus first. So that's where we always want healthy digestion. But why? Why are you dealing with digestion? Why do you have SIBO? Why is your gut so inflamed? There's something else going on that has to be addressed first, because otherwise you are not going to fix the problem for the long run. So nutrition is the number one area that I start with all of my clients. It's, like I said, 35-40% of the focus. Super important. We really do a lot of work on just, improving nutrition and playing with it. For myself, I experimented a lot with food. I cleaned up my diet first. I took things sort of incremental, small steps that I could handle, and I absolutely encourage you to not go from 0 to 100 in 2 or 3 weeks, because too many changes is stressful. Stress is the nutrient deficiencies are the number one cause of chronic fatigue and health problems. Stress is the number one trigger of all of this. So we really have to be careful that what we're doing isn't stressing out the body. And we can definitely stress out our body with food changes. Even if you're going from like amazing or horrible process to amazing healthy, that's very stressful for your body. So give it time, take incremental steps, take aligned incremental steps. So I played a lot. I food journaled a lot. I kept in mind little combinations and connections, and realized for me there were some very common healthy foods that weren't working. So back then, I wasn't a holistic nutritionist when all of this started. I was just doing this on my own, and it was very conscientious. I was very focused on this, and it was very lonely. Because I wanted to really focus on the food situation. I didn't want to mess it up by going out to eat and having something that was not that I didn't know was in, like an ingredient I didn't know was in the food, that messed me up. So for my experiment, it was very isolating. It was very very strict. I don't make my clients do that. That's because I did all of the legwork at the beginning. I took the guesswork out for them, and we now have a very easy flow, simplified flow to help them go from exhausted to energized while still enjoying their favorite food, going out. It's all about this intuitive eating concept and paying attention to what foods do to your body. So I really worked on food. I found out there was a bunch of healthy foods that my body does not like. This led me into holistic nutrition because I was getting somewhere, but not there where I wanted to be. I'd go to a dietitian who didn't tell me anything new than what I've already figured out. The Canadian Food Guide, which is where I'm from, was seriously lacking in what would work for me. Just intuitively didn't feel right, and I couldn't eat that way, so I couldn't go that route. And so anyway, I went into holistic nutrition, and inside my program, I learned all about hormones and the health of the body and the interconnections, most importantly. Everything: liver, digestion, elimination, nervous system, brain, hormones, neurotransmitters, mitochondria, all of the most important parts of your body, all the parts of your body that are important. And while there wasn't a nutrition protocol for Epstein-Barr virus or chronic fatigue syndrome, it was actually very rarely mentioned. I did pull little tidbits out of a bunch of different protocols for adrenal fatigue and for liver and digestion, and tested things out. Some of them worked, some of them didn't, and created my program. And now that's been running successfully now for almost 2 years, with dozens of female clients who have gone through and reversed their fatigue. So nutrition was first. The most important point here is that it had to be very personalized. I really had to know what was not working for me. So in a nutshell, all of my clients do start off by removing all dairy, all cow's milk dairy, all gluten, if they can, if we can get there, all grains, because I'd love for them to remove all grains. There's a lot of problems with grains, especially in North America. All vegetable and seed oils, and all sugar, refined sugar, artificial sweeteners. These are the top 4 pro-inflammatory foods, and inflammation is one of the main underlying root cause problems of fatigue. So we have what is called a fatigue cycle. There's this cyclical set of imbalances that if we ignore one, the other, and treat the other, the cycle just keeps spinning because we've ignored the other, and both create really massive nutrient deficiencies and directly tell your cells to turn off energy. This fatigue cycle is fed by chronic low-grade inflammation and a dysfunctional stress response. So not stress per se, though stress does activate your stress response. It's the fact that your body is unable to keep up with stress. It's become really rigid. It's not resilient. It's lacking what it needs to keep up with the stress. The adrenals, you've heard of adrenal fatigue. The adrenals have become fatigued. They can't produce stress hormones properly in the right amounts at the right times. It goes haywire. That dysfunctional stress response feeds into the fatigue cycle. Stress increases inflammation. Inflammation increases or reactivates the stress response. We get stuck in this fatigue cycle. So we really have to break that fatigue cycle first. So that is where we remove as many of the pro-inflammatory triggers. We remove stress in some areas, it just takes a little bit longer. But if we can really hone in on inflammation, that addresses both the adrenals and inflammation. Then we move into the second part of the energy healing triad. So nutrition is number one. Number two is collectively called lifestyle or habits. This includes actions like how we exercise or move our body, how we take care of ourselves, our self-care, our stress management techniques. Sleep falls into this category, which is huge. And then eating hygiene, or how you eat. Whether you eat in a stressful situation, whether you just gobble everything down, whether you chew your food, all of that. So this was the next section of the next concept that I moved into with my healing journey. Was really, I was feeling more energized, but my sleep was still a mess. So I really had to work on figuring out why was my sleep such a mess. That was really tightly related to a few of those inflammatory foods that my body didn't like, even though they were considered healthy, as well as my fluctuating sleep schedule throughout the week, my lack of any outdoor time, what else was messing up my sleep? My hormones. My reproductive hormones were an absolute nightmare back then as well. And that was really messing up my sleep. I also was battling cystic acne at this time, and that was kind of the very first trigger to me figuring out that nutrition and lifestyle factors make a massive improvement in your health. And nothing had ever helped me with my acne in my life until I naturally started addressing it with holistic nutrition practices. So I worked on sleep. I started to play with energy and uncovered this feminine energy cycle that had to be incorporated into my life if I wanted to put my fatigue into remission. So I started to really understand my body, intuitively learned what my body needed for movement each and every day, how much I could do, what types of exercise were best. And then I also strategically developed exercise routines that boosted the health of my mitochondria. And that was so important because that's where energy is made, right? Self-care, I was always doing all of this self-care, like reading a lot and resting, and I would watch TV just to laugh and relax, and I colored and I drew, but it wasn't working. And that's when something wasn't connecting. And this is when I really started to look into the health of the nervous system and how nervous system regulation is crucial to healing the body. You have to be in a healing state, and that comes from the nervous system. And my self-care, while it was nice, it wasn't activating my healing side of my nervous system. So I had to start working on incorporating healing, activating self-care activities. So that has become a huge part of my program with my clients, because so many of them come in. Like I said, everything's interconnected. When you're stressed out and exhausted and confused and frustrated, your nervous system is not in a healing state. And it can take a long time to regulate your nervous system, especially if you're using so essential oils are great, but they take longer than, say, activating the healing side and like actually triggering your nervous system consciously to move into a healing state more often throughout the day. Which brings me to pillar number 3, or the third point on the energy healing triad, and that is all about mindset, shifting limiting beliefs, learning to identify personality patterns and self-talk patterns that activate both the stress response and the non-healing side of the nervous system. And this is the third pillar. It's usually the hardest. It's not the one we go into first within the program, but we do kind of sprinkle it through because it's so important. And you can start something as simple as affirmations to help retrain your brain. So my healing journey involved a lot of really playing with food, understanding what my body needed for food, paying attention, and being very consistent. Consistency was key. That was a mindset portion. I had to flip that switch that I could fix my energy quickly and easily, especially when I was doing this on my own. It wasn't going to happen. If I got fed up after 2 or 3 weeks, I knew I had to keep going. Consistency is key. What I've discovered is that your body, when your adrenals and your stress response is dysfunctional, can take at least up to 3 months to re-regulate and strengthen that stress response so that your body finally feels like it's safe and secure enough to start to allow the rest of the organs to do their thing. When your body's in a state of stress, dysfunctional stress response, it's going to be in the survival mode. It's going to not allow nutrients to go to digestion or reproduction. You're going to have digestive issues. You're going to have period problems. PMS is a big thing that a lot of my clients have come in with and lived with for years, thinking it was just normal as a female, but it's not. So that's another side bonus of all the work that I've done is now I'm 43 and a half and my period it's going to change soon. I know it is, but so far it comes without warning. I don't have any PMS. It's regular. It's easy. It happens, and it's only like one bad day. That's not even that bad. Yeah, no issues with that whatsoever. And that's just been getting better and better year after year. And like I said, one day it will go the other way, but for now, all good. And so that's a really nice benefit. My skin is clear. If it does start to break out, I know why, and I can easily fix things with my diet. So yeah, that's in a quick overview how I fix my chronic fatigue. I did start with going to Walmart and testing out all the energy boosting supplements I could find. I joined some MLM programs for kits, like powders and supplements and stuff. None of it worked. My doctors at least told me at least were honest with me and said there was nothing they could do for me. That's a real issue that I'm seeing with women with chronic fatigue syndrome or Epstein-Barr is that they're getting antiviral medications and there still isn't actually a effective antiviral med for Epstein-Barr. It's for other viruses. They're for other viruses, not Epstein-Barr virus, which means that when you take them, you're making nutrient gaps and deficiencies worse and adding more toxicity and inflammation to the body. So it's not ideal. And if you are taking medication, I strongly recommend you start working with a holistic nutritionist or somebody that really gets the nutrient gaps and deficiencies that are happening because of the fatigue that you're dealing with. Why are you so fatigued? What are those nutrients that you're missing? And if you have Epstein-Barr, how to actually safely get rid of it from your body and put it in remission. Because also these antiviral meds will boost toxicity and that uses up nutrients and that makes your body want to make more of the virus. So it's easy to go back into a reactivated state. So I did all the things that I know a lot of women are doing and it didn't work. And I can tell you that it was all about identifying the root cause. Why is my body feeling this way? And really asking that question, like, why am I so exhausted? Why am I so fatigued? Is it stress? Is it a virus? Is it toxicity? Is it poor digestion? It could be all of those things, but why are those happening? And that is the key. That is the question that you need to ask and get an answer to. The answer to that question is nutrient deficiencies or nutrient gaps. You may show up on a blood test that you have more than enough of a certain nutrient, but is it getting to all of the places or is certain parts of your body stealing it? Is it getting into your cells? These are the things we look at as holistic nutritionists. The lifestyle factor, we can't ignore it. We can't ignore mindset. These are equally as stressful as eating processed junk food and drinking Coke all the time. Anytime we switch up our diet or go into some crazy fad diet that eliminates or restricts our food, seriously stressful. Dieting to lose weight, seriously stressful. Keto is the worst diet you could go on if you have chronic fatigue. You may have read that intermittent fasting is a good way to boost energy. The studies on that are on men, first of all, men, not women. Our hormones are so much different, and they're very sensitive to long gaps without food. Intermittent fasting has some benefits for us, though, but we can't move directly into 16 or more hour fasts when we're in a fatigue state, or it's going to add more stress and inflammation to the body. So there's a lot of very bad misinformation out there on Google about what to do to boost energy that women are trying, that's only making the nutrient gaps worse because it's causing so much stress and most likely, in most cases, inflammation. And that all comes back to that fatigue cycle. So break the fatigue cycle, refuel the gaps, restore your cell's response to the nutrients and the hormones that make, regulate, and control energy production, and create resiliency. This is the most important step, I think, because a lot of programs just leave you hanging at the end, right? You're like, here you go, here's how you fix the problem today, but they don't really teach you how to maintain your progress. So what I really strive for with my clients is that resiliency. I want you to create this amazing resilient stress response that I have where, yeah, I can take on some pretty big stressors and you might see me look really anxious and freaked out, but I can flip it back so quickly and I know exactly what to do, to eat, to be, how to move, to ensure that my stress response is staying fueled and resilient. And so I get through those stressors with ease and peace, and I don't crash or flare or go into a state of adrenal fatigue. My stance, as most people want to know about supplements, my stance on supplements is that they're only there to supplement what your diet is missing. They cannot replace the wrong diet, they cannot replace a poor diet, and they cannot replace missing foods and nutrients. If you are chronically fatigued and you are battling any type of digestive issue, your body's not going to absorb most supplements anyway, so they're a waste of money. A lot of the supplements out there that I see people taking or they're talking about for energy are really toxic to the liver, and they will create more fatigue and inflammation, creating a bigger fatigue cycle. A lot of the supplements that are the one-off supplements by take more vitamin C, high dose vitamin C. This causes oxidative stress, which increases inflammation. B12 without the rest of the B vitamins creates a massive B vitamin deficiency, and your mitochondria don't need B12. They need other B vitamins. Women are starting to catch on that magnesium is important because that's really good for PMS. However, are you taking enough and the right type of magnesium? And is your body absorbing it? Because there's some really key questions. Iron is a big one. Are you actually iron deficient, or are you more deficient in copper or vitamin C or magnesium? Iron gets prescribed more often than any other nutrient, and iron can be very toxic if you don't actually need it, and most women don't need it. It's because they're deficient in these other nutrients because of the fatigue cycle. So if we feed the fatigue cycle, and by I mean regulate it, refuel the nutrients that it's stealing, that helps to release the iron, release the vitamin C, release the copper to other areas of the body so that your body can start to make energy again. Antioxidants are rarely talked about. Your master antioxidant, glutathione, that is such an important nutrient that you need, but don't supplement with it because your body won't absorb it via supplements, so it's a waste of money. But again, medication is not a cure, it's a suppressor. Supplements are not medications. They might temporarily suppress a symptom, but it'll come back. You can become too reliant on synthetic substances. Most supplements are synthetic, right? They're not natural either. So you can become reliant on them, so your body stops actually making the best quality types and precursors to these nutrients, and so you become more and more weak over time and sicker, and more free radical damage, and you've probably heard of that. That's one of the main reasons of big disease. So naturally, how I fixed my chronic fatigue, the right diet for me, really understanding that, personalized nutrition, getting a deep dive health analysis into what the root causes of my fatigue were so that I could focus on the right things, which gives you a really lovely trickle up effect to other imbalances. Kind of like when you have a plant and it's starting, you see the plant, the leaves are starting to turn brown, and you're like, oh, it must be something wrong with the leaves. So you start trimming them or cutting them, and really the problem is that there's no water in the soil, or the soil is depleted of nutrients for that plant. If you actually address the soil and the roots, the plant thrives. So that's what we're talking about here. If we're wanting to really reverse chronic fatigue and just cut it out of your life for good, root cause. We also have to align our lifestyle habits and really make sure that sleep is on par. And every single one of my clients, even if they think it's good, it's not. Align exercise. The more exercise you do does not equate to more energy. Get that out of your head right now. Self-care, make sure it's activating your nervous system and not just relaxing you, because it's not going to actually change things. And eating style. And then mindset, limiting beliefs, how we think, if we're worriers, if we're anxious, what we can do to reset our mind and put our bodies into a healing state. So that's it. Remember the 3 pillars of energy healing: nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset, and you will be good. If you need any help implementing this, or you have questions about how this could apply to your life, or if you would like a gap analysis into the things you've been doing that aren't working because you still feel stuck and exhausted, and we can dig into the root cause of your fatigue and actually give you a plan that's aligned with what your body needs. So if you're interested in any of that, reach out, contact me. You can message me or email me, or however you want to get a hold of me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Email works as well. All right.